All right, Beck. Episode 3. We're back. We got a great show planned. We got a couple good segments coming up at the end that I think would be really fun. Maybe some mainstays of the show going forward.
You
Um,
better believe it.
Always a heater up top. Let's start with the Game 7 recap though. The NBA Finals. Obviously, OKC takes Game 7, wins the first ever championship in their franchise history. We don't count the Seattle shit. That's not theirs. Indiana starts hot. Halliburton's cooking, yells some profanities at the OKC bench, and then, watching a horror movie in slow motion, we see the calf pop. Let's go the ball. Tears.
Absolute tears were going through my head and down my eyes. Um, Honestly, my gut reaction was how bad it sucked right at the very beginning, but then I kind of had a feeling that Indiana was going to rally around them. I was rooting for Indiana going in. That made me want to root for them even more. And the way the first half played out, it kind of seemed like OKC was a little bit shell shocked about that as well, even more so than the Pacers. Indy goes into the half with the 1 point lead right after Andrew Nemhard hits them with the bag work step back three. I feel for Halliburton. It also my mind shifted towards how the East is going to look next year. There's a
Yeah,
lot of places my mind went, but
yeah.
just overall like sadness for Indiana.
And you said it. They did rally around it, and I think you said it in person too when we were watching the game. You said this might affect OKC just as much as it does Indiana, and I think it did. I think for the next quarter and a half, I think OKC was a bit shell shocked, and also think about how the game plan changes when Halliburton goes out of the game. Like you're completely prepped for this fast, dynamic offense, him flying, him taking these deep threes, and all of a sudden now you have TJ McConnell 7 foot fadeaways is what you're defending against. Like it's a completely different basketball game. So they were able to ride that for a little bit to the half, and then obviously OKC pulls away. But I think we have an apology in order. On the last episode, we gave one guy a lot of stick for his performances throughout the series, and he showed up, and it's Chet.
He was doing apology and then he got on that podium and he gave us one of the worst speeches ever. And we've been through a lot of bad final speeches the last couple of years.
He's up there.
I think he topped Tatum. So yeah, he'll get an apology for the performance from me. He showed up, but goddamn, man, like give me something to really feel.
Terrible speech, but Chet gives OKC 18 points, 8 boards, 5 blocks, which is exactly what you want out of him. He's the rim protector that you need to have for that defense to be the special unit it was throughout the year and throughout the playoffs. So apologies in order. We both called him out, and he answered the bell. And he was a huge reason why they won that game.
Yeah, and I guess a bit of my hate might have been misdirected. I should have shifted more of it towards Miles Turner because this was the game you have to show up and you get bodied. Wasn't expecting Tony Bradley to keep it up, but he got bodied. The way Indiana handled Siakam's minutes in the third quarter, you kind of didn't really notice him in the second half. I
Yeah,
thought that was interesting. I didn't expect Carlisle to go away from him. I know TJ had it going, but I thought that kind of affected the game. You needed Siakam to be a 30
absolutely.
plus guy after Halliburton went down with the injury.
Yeah, definitely. They needed him to carry. And here's a stat you brought up Turner. In 7 minutes that Tyrese Halliburton played, he had 9 points, which was the same as Neesmith, Turner, Obi Toppin, and Ben Shepherd combined for the entire game. They get nothing from they get the TJ game, they get the Matherin game. We'll get to the bag work from Matherin. But I mean, you get nothing from guys.
Yeah, I remember me and you looked at each other once Neesmith found out. It was 30 minutes,
They
three
show,
points, one for
yeah,
five. And
they
then
show,
I had the prediction that Neesmith was going to come up big in this game. And we look
yeah.
at each other. I'm like, wow.
Break the fourth wall here. Beck and I are sitting next to each other watching Game 7, and Beck just coming off a pod that dropped that day, where Beck goes, "I think it's the Neesmith game." He fouls out 3 points on 1 for 5 with like a decent amount of time left in the game. We just look at each other, start dying laughing.
Uh, it's just insanity. Nemhard did show up, so he salvaged my prediction a little bit. He had 15 in 35 minutes, a little bit of bag work mixed in.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, Indiana didn't get enough from the starter role players that they needed to in Turner and Neesmith. I think they were the kind of two guys who had to turn the game, along with Siakam, like I mentioned.
Yeah, and Zach Lowe said it today. He said that when Halliburton goes out, I mean, all those shots that they're getting, those Neesmith shots, those Nemhard shots, that are good looks when Halliburton's in the game, those aren't good looks when he's not because he's not there. They don't have a creator. I love TJ, but he's really when you think about the way TJ plays, he's not the point guard that I think a lot of people like describe him as. He's not like the like creator, like open the floor for people. He really does want to get to his shot. Like that's when he's at his best. Like he was like a microwave scorer in this series, like in little spurts, obviously. It's not he's not putting up 40 or anything. But when they don't have that creation, these guys just are getting terrible looks. And we saw that. They didn't get good looks. They weren't hitting shots. I think both teams shot terribly from three in this game. They both only hit 11 threes on pretty bad efficiency. Mathurin obviously gave them a great game off the bench. He seemed like the only guy that like had any aggression and like was trying to take the game by the balls. Him and TJ were kind of the only saving grace for them. And yeah, OKC dominated the turnover battle and took this one.
Yeah, McConnell really struggled with the traps.
Yeah,
They blitzed them on any high pick and roll right at midcourt. I'm not sure how many turnovers he finished with, but it felt like at least 4 or 5.
felt like a
Um,
ton.
yeah, and then yeah, Mathurin kind of gave them a spark in the fourth quarter. It was a little bit too late, but yeah, he played like he knew it was his moment, and he's gonna have that green light next year. So we'll see the type of stats he's putting up. But
I love it.
I mentioned last spot. I've always loved him since Arizona. He's got a high motor. He does play like a little bit of a dumbass, but it's a irrational confidence is never a bad thing for some guys.
Yeah, and in these moments, you need irrational confidence, guys. Like, if your guy goes down, like somebody's gotta just take the reins. And they just didn't have enough. I mean, the offense was bad. It was clunky. Too many turnovers. They had 21 turnovers. You're not beating OKC that way. The bigger picture thing here is this the beginning of a dynasty for OKC? I know we say this every year. I remember it with, when the Nuggets won their first, Jokic. It's like, oh wow, they could rattle off 3 out of the next 5 years. Celtics win it. They got 2 stars or 26, 27. Are they going to win 4? Like, so is this the same thing, or do you think this is something different because of the age we got here?
They have a window since 2022 draft. Chet and J-Dub still on the rookie deals. They're going to be able to sign them back for whatever they get them for. J-Dub is eligible for the Supermax with the All NBA. So that's going to be something they'll watch out for. But if I'm them, I take a swing right now, go for Giannis. I still am not a believer in Chet. I know they gave him a half-assed apology earlier, but I don't think his body can maintain through another postseason playing in the late June. You saw the injury this year that kept him out for around 40 to 50 games. He was injured his whole rookie season. It's asking a lot. He's going to have to put on mass if I'm going to believe in him as a guy who can be a 16 game player for you. Giannis, I think Chet as the headliner in a Giannis deal gets the ball moving. You have plenty of picks. They have plenty of capital. They have plenty of other guys on the bench. Like, is it Topic? Correct.
Yeah, they still got
Yeah.
Nikola Topic coming next year. The
Like they
first
they
round
have
pick from
they
the
have so
draft.
many guys they can include in a package just to sweeten it up.
I guess the thing you would worry about if you're OKC, if you're Sam Presti, and if you're Dagnall is you have this crew who obviously I know it's a little bit corny to like say out loud, but there is like some real chemistry there, and they do have like a bond as a group. And I do feel like anytime, I mean, it's Giannis, so it's like it's tough to be like, that guy would like hurt this team. I don't necessarily think he would, but do you at all worry that like breaking up that trio would hurt them down the stretch?
Not particularly because I feel like the chemistry thing in the NBA lasts 1 to 2 at the maximum 3 years, and then you see. I
Money
mean,
gets involved.
it's just life. People grow up, they move on. These guys are still young, but when money starts to become a factor in anything, that can override any chemistry or anything. And a lot of, I would argue that like Caruso is one of the biggest glue guys on this team. You take
Yeah.
him out of the picture in a year or so,
Yep.
maybe he's what keeps them together. It's not always just the star guys who get along. It's these other tertiary players,
Right.
more so down the bench.
For me, it's just like now you have this proof of concept. Now that you have the ring, you know that this group works. This group is elite and can win a title. And now you have next year. Who's stopping them? And I know the league evolves and you kind of have to evolve with it. Like you can't just the moment you're just complacent and you sort of just roll with it. Like we've seen that with the last few champions. Like it's so tough to get back. So I do like I like where your head's at with trying to pounce and strike while the iron's hot. And that'll be an interesting one to talk about. As we're talking about the shape of the league next year, we talked about the East now that Halliburton's out, Tatum's out. Magic get Bane. We don't know what the Sixers are going to look like, obviously, what version of Joel Embiid we have. Who are some teams that you think can surge into that next tier? One of those teams that could be the next Pacers, could be the next Knicks that kind of shoot through the playoffs, and we're saying, in May of next year, holy shit, like
My
coming.
my answer prior to 2 hours ago would actually be the Hawks, but then they traded for Porzingis. I feel like that's more of a desperation move, and he's hardly going to be on the floor. I don't really like that one. They don't give up much, but I liked Jalen Johnson a lot before he got hurt this year. I think
I love Jalen
Reese
Johnson.
Sachet showed you a lot of promise as a rookie. Got a lot better after the All Star break. Dyson Daniels had one of the most tremendous defensive seasons from a guard that we've seen in some time. I think he had quite a good shot to win Defensive Player of the Year, and
Was he
now
first team?
I believe so. He had to be.
Okay.
He
I was gonna say if he
averaged
got
over three
snubbed,
steals per game.
yeah,
So yeah, I thought there was a lane for them to take a jump next year because Jalen Johnson coming back, he's going to be a 22 point per game guy next year.
gotta
Dyson
love him.
Daniels defense, they had a lot of good role players supporting those guys as well. But after the KP move, I'm gonna waver off of that one a little bit. I would say the Magic. I feel like the Magic's the obvious one to say, but it's the I think they need one more piece, one more shooter. I don't think Bane magically solves all their shooting issues. You need like one more guy, or you need Suggs to take a step up to like a 38+% shooter. So that gets tough. Like I kind of feel like the Pistons are going to plateau a little bit. I don't see much more growth because that's kind of the story with JB Bickerstaff as a coach. He can raise your floor immensely, but once you need him to kind of get your team over the hump, that's where he stagnates. Dwayne Casey kind of typing away. Yeah, if I had to pick one right now, it'd be the Magic, but there's still so much with free agency coming up that we have to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I could give you like a more defined answer right now, but
No,
that's
no,
kind
it's
of all I
fine.
got.
I do because you brought up the KP trade. I do just want to read off the exact trade for the listeners. So the Hawks receive Kristaps Porzingis and a second round pick. The Nets receive Terrence Mann and Atlanta's 22nd pick this year. And the Celtics receive Georges Niang and a second round pick. So that's ex-Sixer Georges Niang going to the Celtics there. Could be fun and future Sixers Celtics matchups. But break this down. What do you like here? What do you not like? Do you like anything for anyone? The 22nd pick's kind of juicy, I guess, for the Nets. They just get another first round pick. I think they have
Yeah,
four.
no, I easily like the Nets side the most, and I like the Celtics shedding cap too.
Yeah.
There's rumors that Kristaps Porzingis had AIDS. I'm not. I see that on Twitter a lot.
Yeah.
With
We're
this
on we're on
physical,
Reddit mode now, yeah.
yeah, I know. I hate to bring it up, but like
Alex Jones, tin hat dude.
with this physical fitness,
Yeah,
in
that
last
was
year's
weird.
postseason, like it was bizarre.
That was weird.
No, I'm not gonna say it was actually AIDS, but something medically was off. Either us or maybe like Pablo Torre to do a deeper dive on that. I think that could be an interesting read. We'll get into the other deal that they made for Simons to get off Drew Holiday in a second here. But
Yeah.
I like it for the Nets the most. You get Terrence Mann, you get the 22nd pick, and you don't really mortgage anything.
For the Hawks, I guess the vision for the Hawks here is you pair Trey with a stretch five, a guy he can throw lobs to. We don't know what KP is anymore, if he's even going to be like playable in the future. If that's like a recurring thing like that, apparently that illness, which I still don't think, as you said, I don't think anyone said what
That's
it
why I
is.
give 10% merit to it being AIDS. Like there is 10% of me that believes that could be true.
I mean, that
Apologies
would
to
be
him.
I feel terrible laughing with it. Um, so they get that in the second pick. Terrence Mann's a weird one because he's a weird case of like a dude who's older than I think a lot of people think he is. I'm pretty sure Terrence Mann's like 28, 29.
He's been
Like
around.
not he's like not a young guy. So for the Sixers fans out there, the person who I think of with this theory is Jeff Dalton. Jeff Dowtin was in like a Rising Stars game this year. He's like 28. But like the league perception of him is like it's like beyond just like the fan perspective. Like people just have been brainwashed into thinking Jeff Dowtin's like a third year guy or like a young guy. But I think that Terrence Mann has a little bit of that. And then Yang, that's just their Celtics are getting off money. They're trying to plan for 26. And then we brought up the KD trade. Um, he's obviously going to Houston for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the 10th pick in this year's draft. You're a huge, Memphis Grizzlies Dylan Brooks fan. Break it down. What do we got?
From the Brooks side of things, he's a
Yeah.
culture setter. It's hard to envision the Suns being good. I've tried to make like the narrative up in my head for the last 2 days. I can't really get there, but he's gonna make them better than they should be. I promise you. Like they
Oh, yeah.
won't be bottom tier. They'll be an 11th, 12th seed, and they'll finally have some fight to them because I mean that team last year, no enforcer to be found. Ryan Dunn was your closest thing to that, and he was a rookie.
Yeah.
So I think he can get the best out of some of the young guys they have there, like Ryan Dunn, whoever they end up picking at 10. He gets reunited with former Grizzly great Grayson Allen, so that should be fun.
Grizzly great Grayson Allen.
He had a stint,
He
promise
did.
you, and former Grizzlies great Tyus Jones, he's still there too. I might have a little bit of Suns stock this year.
Yeah, I love that we're like centering Dylan Brooks in this trade. This is how sicko this podcast is.
Mm.
We just talked about Kevin Durant going to the like second seed in the West, and we're like, what does this mean for Dylan Brooks?
Well, the truth of the matter is that he's the best player the Suns got in this deal.
Oh,
It's not
100%.
particularly close.
I don't want to be the guy to make like the claim on a 23-year-old about like a cut and dry claim, but I haven't seen Jalen Green. He had the what was it, the 37-point game in that Warriors series where it was kind of like,
I think it was 40
okay.
plus.
Yeah, I
I think
mean,
it's
he had
41.
that one heater in the Warriors series, and you're kind of like, okay, this is what we wanted, and then he ghosts for the next two games. I don't trust Jalen Green. I think it's a weird fit. Obviously, Beal's there, and Beal has a no trade clause, so he can stay there if he wants to and just rack up that max contract. Book's still there. He plays the same role. I don't get that. Dylan Brooks would have been a perfect player for the Suns last season. He would have been the guy to hold everything together for them, get in guys' faces, be the bodyguard for KD and Book. Like if they had him instead of Beal last year, that team would have been much friskier in the West.
And not to mention, he was a great 3-point shooter last year.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
for
he
the
gets enough
Rockets,
credit for the way he shot the ball last year. Really improved. The
definitely.
jump shot looked a lot better than it did at the end of his time in Memphis.
Yeah,
But the thing with the Suns, like this is the worst situation Jalen Green could possibly walk into. There's 5 million guards on this team. They have literally like 8 shooting guards. They got to get some kind of roster reconstruction going on before the
they
season
need to get
starts.
a new
It
owner.
doesn't make sense right now. But you're going to end up running Bull at the 5 for like 25 minutes. You have Nick Richards, who he'll probably give you 20 minutes before he fouls out. That's pretty much a big man rotation. They still have Plumlee? Is he still in the
Mason
mix?
Plumlee. Oh God, I mean, if we're
Yeah, no,
not,
this
but
team's fucking
yeah,
disgusting.
the fact that we're bringing up Mason Plumlee as like a saving grace just tells you we need to know. Yeah, I mean the Nets are fucked. They're turbo fucked. They have no pick. Like they get the 10th pick, which is juicy, I guess. We'll see what they do with it. Jalen Green, it's a bad fit. Jalen Green's a guy who I think needs a ton of touches. Like the Rockets situation and maybe that's why I'm out on him is because that was his chance. Like they needed a primary scorer. That's why they went and got KD. They get to the heart of the playoffs and they have nobody to turn to score. Like when you need a bucket.
Yeah, and Fred turned the fuck up. That's the reason they got this
Yeah.
thing to 7 because the last 4 games of that series before game 7, he shot. I want to say he made 16 plus threes. Like he was going crazy.
Yeah. So obviously KD's the centerpiece here. We were doing a little bit of a bit there with Dylan Brooks. But so KD goes to Houston. Now you look at that roster and it's really balanced. Is the first thing that comes to my head. You have Van Fleet, as the table setter. Still, he's not the perimeter defender he was in 2019 when the Raptors won the title, but he's still, strong. He's like a little bull. Like he's strong. He hits threes, like you said. He's not afraid of the moment. You got KD now as your primary option. That's what they desperately needed. They needed somebody to come in and hit threes. get to his spots and score at will. You have Şengün, who's going to now grow with KD. It's another guy he can pass to. You have Amen Thompson, who I personally love. The sky's the limit for Amen Thompson. He I know he didn't win Most Improved Player, but to me, he is. If he had any semblance of a jump shot, to me, he would be a no-brainer like future superstar. And I still kind of like think he's like not a super. He doesn't have superstar maybe upside, and maybe he does, but
He
I think
does.
that
He
next,
definitely does.
yeah. I mean, you're talking me. I didn't need much talking into. I was
Yeah.
immediately on your side
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
but he just does so many good things on the basketball court. He's a great rebounder. He's athletic. It's just a lockdown defender. He's a winning basketball player. So what do you think that Houston team is really in the West next year? Are they a real threat to OKC?
I don't think you could look at them any other way. Besides them and OKC, I can't name the third best team in that conference right now.
I mean, it's probably Minnesota still, right?
Yeah, but they're in luxury tax hell,
Right.
and they're gonna try, like, they have to get Randall back. If they bring Randall back, I'm not really sure. They got to figure out the point guard thing too. Conley's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like they have a lot of faith in Rob Dillingham, but they do have some nice young pieces like Terrence Clark, and who's the other guy who got in
Terrence
a little bit?
Shannon.
Yeah, Terrence Shannon,
Yeah,
and
the Illinois kid.
yeah, they got those two
Yeah.
guys who look
Yeah.
seem to be rotational pieces for next year. So I do like what they have, but they had a pretty easy run to the WCF this year. It was kind of free. The win over the Lakers was a little bit unexpected, but no Curry for all 5 games.
What
That's
was
pretty
it?
much a
Was
free
the
run.
Lakers? Here's my thing with the Lakers. What are they that good as a basketball team? Like they have LeBron and Luca, but like they have so many deficiencies. And like I Reeves throughout the year was a great third option, but when the going gets tough in May and June, dude, I'm not sure I trust Austin Reeves to like win you difficult basketball games when like the other team's like in Oklahoma City or you have Jaden McDaniels like guarding you or something. Like I don't know. The Lakers, they have a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, they do have a couple of deficiencies that are glaring.
Yeah,
I feel like there's moves to be made to figure
absolutely.
those out, though. The tough thing is with Reeves, like if you want to move off of him, his contract's really tough to match because it's he signed 2 years ago, 4 for 52. They kind of got him on a really nice contract.
Yeah.
Matching that up with another player that's near his talent level is going to be really hard to do.
Yeah, you probably have to
So
aggregate.
yeah, so that's one place where I am concerned where they can fill out the rest of this roster. But the first order of business has to be go get a center. They tried
Mark
to,
Williams?
yeah. He's not the answer, but I feel like Claxton's the obvious like guy who's
Yeah.
probably coming off the books, and the Lakers can swoop in. They have 2 picks that are at their disposal to go get a guy,
Oh,
and
Nets.
you never know. You can hit. It's so much easier in the last 10 years, probably more so 5 years, to hit on guys in the second round. So you trade for a second round pick or use one of the ones that they have already. Go get a guy who's a 4-year player in college, and from there, like just one big impact piece, not even big, just a role player impact piece like Jalen Wells level. I know
How
it's a dime a dozen, but
how have the Lakers drafted recently? Because let's like go through it. They picked Connect last year, who they tried to trade for Mark Williams. They can't get the deal done because they say that he didn't pass his physical, which apparently he like might have. They drafted and then they get Bronny in the second round. They took Hood Schifino in the first in 23, Mojave King in the second round. Max
I've never even
Christie,
heard of that guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
Max Christie was a
Christie's the
good
last
pick.
hit.
Yeah, Max Christie was a good pick in 22. But for me, the Lakers get bailed out by being the Lakers. Like that's literally if you're a Lakers fan listening, your saving grace is the fact that somebody's gonna fall into your lap. Like you just know they're gonna get like the center they need somehow. They don't even
Yeah,
need
no,
draft picks.
Claxton will be a Laker next year.
Yes, and it's such a perfect fit for them too because he's a rim running big who Luka's gonna throw lobs to. He's great defensively. The Nets don't need him because they're rebuilding and they have a million picks. Yeah, I mean it makes a ton of sense for them. But we're talking too much about the Lakers. Let's move on. There was a couple other trades. We got Drew Holiday traded to Portland for Anthony Simons and 2 seconds. Just for a little bit of context on that, Drew is expected to be due 67 million over the next 2 seasons, and then he has a player option in the 27-28 free agency. And then Simons is on an expiring deal. So break that down for us.
Took me a little bit of a while to wrap my head around this one. I guess my first impression would be the Trailblazers have potential to be pretty fun next year if they do choose to keep Holiday. Their defense after the All-Star break looked very good. They went on a run. Looked like they might sneak into the play-in at the end. Kind of tapered off the last 10 games. But I'm not sure if they're going to keep him. Again, he might be like Drew's been a guy who's been on a contender the last 6 years of his career. And if he wants out, he might get his way. Kind of got that good faith around the league. Then for Boston, like I get it. I like that they're shedding salary. We knew this coming in the offseason. They were going to have to shed salary. But I can't really imagine Simons being that impactful. He's going to have to flip his whole kind of mantra of playing hard on the defensive ends. It doesn't make a ton of sense basketball wise to me right now, but it's tough to envision.
I don't really think they're getting Simons for basketball reasons, if I'm honest. I think this is literally just getting an expiring contract that matched the salary, and you can dump him when they want cap space in 26. He is like a gunner. Like he's gonna take a million threes, and that's Joe Masball. So for a season, maybe he's fun for them. Niang's the same thing. That's kind of like a fun wrinkle to this is like the Celtics. Think about Niang and Anthony Simons and how like polar opposite in like basketball ideology they are to like the way that the Celtics play. They don't play defense, either one of them. So these are now two just like gunners that are on the team. Like to me, this is not neither of those two moves, the getting Niang in the KP deal or getting Simons here, neither one of these are we're being serious about basketball next year moves. They're strictly business moves to me.
At that point, fair enough. Trying to wrap my head around it basketball wise, it's tough to do.
Yeah.
But if the whole sole purpose was to shed salary, I get it. You're without Tatum next year. I have heard some rumblings they might try to move Brown too. So
let's get into that actually because something we didn't talk about just before we tie a bow on the Houston section, which we moved away from. Does Houston have another move in the chamber here? Because they still have a ton of assets left, and if a guy like Jaylen Brown's available and you can plug him in, I don't know. Does Rafael Stone have one more move before the January deadline? I don't know if that's a summer move, but
yeah, that one's tough for me. You kind of got Katie for relatively free, if you want to put it like that. Jaylen Brown, you're not going to get for free. No. You're going to have to mortgage guys who would be playing. With Reed and Cam Whitmore, you have one of those two who's not going to be in the rotation next year unless there's injuries. I just have a tough time not seeing this through with these young guys. They have a really nice young nucleus. I feel like you just slide KD in and you're kind of just a better team than last year. If you might be overkill to go get Jaylen Brown, it might take some time to get used to. He does have the prior relationship with Ime Udoka, right. So that could be a plus, but I would kind of stay away from that, especially if you're the Rockets. I'm not sure if I want Jaylen Brown to be my number 2 here.
Yeah, Reed Shepherd to the Celtics, Peyton Pritchard clone.
Seriously, yeah, just get the buzz cut and call it
that. They just get every like undersized white guy that can shoot in the
NBA. Yeah, throw back to the '70s Celtics.
Yeah, just a Havlicek build team. Yeah, Boston fans would love that shit. But yeah, so Celtics clear some cap space, which to me, I think is really interesting because in the modern NBA, we've talked about this a couple times in some of the segments we've done. The new CBA, the hard cap is really restrictive. And if you look at the free agency period that we're about to have, there are so few teams that have any real cap space. If the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum have cap space in the summer of 26, that's a little scary to me. Like what Brad Stevens can cook up with that. What do you think?
I think that's very scary if the current ownership group is still there. If you bring in a new ownership group, you have no idea how they're going to act basketball wise. You've seen it with the Mavericks after Cuban gave up his majority stake. They've completely operated in a different sense than they did prior to their finals run. So that's a little bit scary. But yeah, I mean, everybody in the current state of the CBA right now that has money to spend is just the bad teams that will take on bad contracts. It's really it. So yeah, you do bring up an interesting point. Still, the main thing for the Celtics has to be the main thing, and that's is Tatum going to be the same player coming off that Achilles, and how do you build that roster back up around him?
The saving grace, I would say, for Tatum, um, which is a bit different from like Dame and even KD at the point when he got injured, is Tatum still pretty young. So I if I had to if I had to bet my life on it, I think Tatum will come out the other side of this and be he's also like a workhorse who's just gonna grind his rehab and probably get back sooner than people think. But if he's not back to 100%, then the whole operation's just I mean,
Cooked.
it's completely cooked. So, I mean, some interesting moves for the Celtics. Obviously, they're going in a direction that we sort of expected. The last trade I wanted to bring up, and this one sort of a do we really care trade? We got CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk, the GOAT Kelly Olynyk, traded to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, who I did not know was still in the NBA, and pick 40 in this draft. What do we think here, Beck? What do we make of
The Wizards building up the nursing home. That was the first reaction, and then also CJ McCollum is paying for his war crimes to the CBA.
it?
Those
Yeah.
are the two things. I feel bad for Kelly Olynyk, but yeah, the Wizards are rostering Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum. What's the other old motherfucker? They got one more. Like this whole team's like I don't get it. I don't get it for
I
them.
mean, Kelly Olynyk's not young.
Yeah, it's bad.
Did you say you said Middleton? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, it's just not good. And the thing is, so they fired when did they fire Troy Weaver? 2 years ago? And then it was
yeah. 2 years ago because they've.
yeah, and
I don't know if it was post draft or pre draft though. I
so
think they've had two drafts post Weaver regime.
yeah, I mean, it's just I for the Wizards, it's like you have a high draft pick, albeit it's not the one you want. You have Sar, who I think they are still going to try to build around. Even he didn't have the year you want him to have, but yeah, I mean, you look at this roster and it's Sar, Bub Carrington, who I think's fun. We really don't know what he looks like on a team that's competent.
Bagward King.
Yeah, Bagwork King, we'll get to that. And then you just have some guys, dude. Like Rashawn Holmes is on this roster, Malcolm Brogdon's on this roster. Corey Kispert's like a weird one. Oh, they have Keyshawn George, the Miami kid, who I actually think is kind of fun.
I like Kispert.
Yeah. Oh, Koulibaly. They have Koulibaly still. But like, why are you not just going in on the Sar Bub, like Koulibaly, Kispert? Like, why don't you just do that thing and like make
Maybe they're the team in the East who makes the Pacers like run. I see it, Lane.
I see Lane. Yeah, I
But
mean,
like, I mean, they're gonna be they might lock into like the fucking 10th or 9th seed next year and end up making the
yeah,
playoffs as an eight. It could
this
be
East
funny.
this East is bad. All right, so actually that's a good little segue. So we talked about the West. Let's talk about this just absolute dumpster fire of an Eastern Conference that we're about to have. And like I guess you could say the Knicks are now positioned to like take the Eastern crown, or maybe the Magic. Like what do you make of the East next year?
Like, sure, the
Yeah.
Knicks don't have a fucking coach. They got to find the coach,
Well, yeah.
and and if they go the Taylor Jenkins route, I can promise you they won't be in the finals next year. They'll be running. That's the anti-Thibodeau mantra. They'll be running a 12-man rotation with guys you've never heard of, getting 15 to 20 minutes of PT. And he'll
We'll
probably
have
bring.
OG, yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have
he'll
OG
probably
bring the
trade for
ball up.
John Conchar and bring him along for the ride. But
Gonchar's a life. Yeah, Gonchar's a lifer now in a couple different cities. Yeah, I mean the East is weird. I love the Magic taking a swing. I don't think that's going to be the only swing we see from an Eastern Conference team who's kind of in that middle of the pack. Because I mean, dude, it's there for the taking. And if you're the Sixers now, you're kind of like you get your little buffer year out of the way where you completely shit the bed, and now it's like okay, like there's an avenue. But the last time that happened, of course, they lose to the Hawks in the second round and blow a 26-point lead. it's wide open, man. And like, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all breaks down. But it's really just a weird Eastern Conference next year.
I just want to go back to the Wizards for 1 second. Read who's on their payroll for next year. They're paying the expected names that are actually on the roster, like Middleton, McCollum, Brogdon, Smart, Olenek. This is where it starts to get funny. Ian Mahimi. He's getting paid 23 million next year. He's still due 23 million in the big
Ian
2025.
Mahinmi.
Rashawn Holmes that we mentioned, he's due
Yeah,
19 million next year.
that's insane.
Kendrick Nunn, he's playing like in China. He's due 7
Yeah,
million.
he's in Greece right now.
Yes. Anthony Gill, the Virginia product who like was drafted like 8 years ago. I don't know where Anthony
Wait,
Gill's
wait,
going.
wait, wait, wait. I just Googled Ian Mahinmi. He is 38 years old,
Yes, he
and
hasn't played in like 5
I was
years.
gonna say I don't think he's played a basketball game in years.
Dude, it gets funnier. Next guy, Ty Lawson. Ty Lawson's due 2.5 million next year.
Ty Lawson?
Yes. Shabazz Napier, due 2.5 million next year. Thomas Saturansky, due 2.5 million next year. Ramon Sessions, due 2.5 million
Ramon
next year.
Sessions.
Yes. JT Thorne, who cares? He's probably been out of the league for 5 years. Don't know the next guy. Cassius Winston, due
Oh
two
my God,
million
dude.
next year. He hasn't played in 5 years.
My
And
God,
then
dude.
Jonathan Williams, last guy. But how many names on that list haven't played basketball in 5 years? It's
Dude,
like 7 names.
there's guys making like equivalent contracts to like players who are making real impacts in playoff games.
Ian
That
Mahimi's
list, in
making
that
20
list
million
you
next
just
year.
said. Oh my God, dude. So,
Dumbfounding.
I mean, the Wizards are paying for their war crimes of the past right now, and you can't really feel bad for an organization that just sort of doesn't know how to operate. I mean, maybe they get out of it in this new regime. It doesn't really, I mean, these moves are peculiar at best. Like I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, anywho, moving on. This this is a segment that we've been looking forward to for about a week, I'd say. The first inaugural come and get this bag work snake draft. And just as a little context for people listening who are thinking, what the fuck did you just say? Bag work is basically imagine imagine your grandma walks in the room and asks what game you're watching and like what's going on, and she watches for 30 seconds, and this guy just has like three buckets where she literally thinks that you're watching like 96 Michael Jordan. Then she leaves the room, and that player misses about 30 straight shots. These are the players that we're talking about here. These are the guys who get in their bag at complete odds with winning basketball games. Beck, do you have any other descriptions before we get into this?
I do have one thing. I think sometimes the bag work guys can lead to winning. That my first pick's going to lead to winning. The rest of my draft, it definitely guys who don't really align with that ideology. But my first guy, who I'm taking off the board, I'll let you get the first pick because you're not going to take him. But my first pick, he leads the winning, and I have his jersey in the building tonight.
Just take the pick. Take the pick. I'll give you the first pick.
All right, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
For those listening, we have a full intro to this pick here from Beck. And if you can, please watch this on YouTube. Oh my God, here we go. For those listening, he just put on a Zach Randolph Grizzlies jersey. That is so tight.
Zach Randolph can ball. Zach Randolph is a baller. He's a Willis Reed type. He's a big teddy bear. He really, really is. Yeah, of course I'm going Zach Randolph. This jersey's from like 6th grade. It's basically a crop top now.
Oh
But
my
yes,
God, dude.
he's a Willis Reed type
If
player.
if you can't see what I'm seeing, I feel so bad. This is Beck just put on a jersey that I think I don't know if you can breathe right now with how
Not
tight that
really. It
jersey
is so
is.
tight on the nips, but
I mean,
we
Zach
are here, baby.
Randolph with the bag work. Tell me why is Zebo your pick?
Because typically, I wanted to think a little bit outside the box for this pick. And typically, we think of bag work as doing too much off the dribble, tween, hezzy
Guards.
type of deal. No, Zach Randolph's bag work, he's going to get on the block. He's going to jab, look you dead in your eyes, and then shoot a jumper in your face without getting off the ground. But it is the definition of bag work. Come get
Oh
this
my
bag
God.
work,
I
straight
love
butter
it.
bag work.
I love it, dude. This is such a Beck pick. I think it's just an excuse for you to put on your Zebo jersey. I went
Probably, but
I went a
half
little
the guys
bit,
on my
yeah,
list are
that's fair.
Grizzlies.
I went a different direction here with my first pick. I'm taking the modern NBA's GOAT of bag work. If you watch this play, this is the definition of what I just described of somebody walking in the room and thinking you're watching Jordan. Cam Thomas, baby. Cam Thomas in 5 minute stints is the best basketball player you've ever watched in your life. For an entire game, he might absolutely make you lose by 40. Cam Thomas is a hilarious basketball player, and he's my first pick.
Hey, I can't argue with that. He was going off the board at some point. Let's do
Still
it.
kicking
Let's
him
do a
in the
snake.
face.
You get two in a row. I'll get two in a row.
All right,
Yada yada
my
yada.
second pick. This is cliche. He is Draymond Green's biggest enemy. He is on the move actually today. Jordan Poole, the legend, the NBA champion, Jordan Poole.
The baddies courtside Jordan Poole.
The baddies courtside, Jordan Poole. If your bird's sitting courtside, he's dropping 35. So that's my second.
Beautiful. Well, I might have went a little bit off the wall with my picks because I've gone back. I have a lot of non-active players here.
I like it.
But if you remember in the year of 2012, 2013, when this guy would get the green light on some really bad, I think this is pre-Brooklyn. This is probably New Jersey Nets teams. Marshawn Brooks,
Wow.
bag work king out of Providence. Um, I mean, this guy would pull out like an off the board alley oop to himself. Team be down 30. He's out of the league for like 5 years. He returns on my Memphis Grizzlies. The Suns try to trade for Dylan Brooks. We send them Marshawn Brooks. The deal gets nixed. I mean, what more can you have in the bag than that? Of course, we're gonna circle it back to Dylan Brooks somehow. But yeah, Marshawn Brooks is my second pick.
I love it.
Third pick. This is bad work off the court. And again, we're back in like that 2012 era. I'm thinking of a guy who got the Kardashian before it was cool to get the Kardashian.
No.
I'm talking about Chris Humphries. Oh, come get this bag work, Kim K.
I thought you were about to make a really different joke about Lamar Odom. That's bag work.
He's got wow. He might have to be six man of the year. Come get this bag work though, and then the wedding gets nixed or whatever.
Oh
He goes and opens up a restaurant. That's bag work. Way to hop back on your feet. I'm praying for you, King.
Back on your feet, son. Let's go. All right, so Beck takes. All right, so let's read off your team right now. 3 picks in. You have Marshawn Brooks,
Yep.
Chris Humphrey, and Zebo.
Yeah, my front court's solidified.
Let's go. I have Cam Thomas, Jordan Poole, and with my third pick, he was mentioned on the last pod, and he used to contribute to winning, but now he contributes to the worst basketball you could ever watch in your entire life. That is the one, the only, Terry Rozier.
Yes, I was hoping he came up. Yes,
Scary. Terry Rozier. And you're seeing a real theme with my picks. They're all guards who just literally get in their tween hezzy bag and they have such blinders and never pass the ball.
Yeah, I love that pick.
I love it. And then on the turn, I'll go with basically, you could argue he's a Terry Rozier clone in the new generation. We got Keontae George.
Oh my God, he's a chucker of all chuckers. Come get this
Keontae
bag work.
George. I almost didn't put him on the list because he actually Terry Rozier. If Terry Rozier, if you just saw him playing in like a pro-am, you'd be like, this is like God's greatest gift to earth. I think Keontae George could get clamped by like a local like.
Yeah, he's got some Denzel Valentine on him.
Yeah. But Keontae, so I'll go through my 4. I have Cam Thomas, Jordan Poole, Terry Rozier, and Keontae George. Back to me.
Nice. I like the Keontae George pick is a great pick. Underrated. Come get this bag work, and it's definitely not going in. And you know, Bono Stop loves him. Shout out Bono Stop. We need you on the pod.
That's our guy.
My next pick, this guy arguably should have gone number one overall. I had him lower down my board uh, mistakenly, but it's Lance Stevenson. I mean, come on.
No, I
Straight from
forgot about
Harlem,
I
electric
forgot about
guitar on
Lance,
him.
dude.
Like, he's different. He's the originator of the bag work in
Yeah.
my eyes, from making it from Harlem to the NBA, dancing on folks. That's the type of player I want on my team. So I
Lance
got
Stevenson, people, all right, so bit aside, I don't even think that was a bit. That's genuinely a great pick because Lance Stevenson had so much respect as like a defensive stopper and just like maniac that he was allowed to just go ISO with like Paul George standing next to him in like a playoff game. And I love that for him. Like they were like, you know what? You were doing so you're blowing in LeBron's ear, you're untying people's shoes, like do it, skip down the court and like go tween on LeBron James. Who cares?
yeah,
Like
and
what
then he
the hell?
eventually teams up with LeBron later on. He got the
Exactly.
respect. Bag work king. Um, to finalize my team, we need a point guard. And you probably don't think of this guy as a bag work king, but I'm telling you, go into the YouTube archives. The first thing you will see when you look up this guy's name is blank crosses Kobe Bryant, 180K views. This is a low key bag work king. It's Bano Udrih, former Grizzlies
Bano
back point
Udrih.
guard. Yes, I need him to lead the
There's a
team.
real theme here for your picks, by the way.
Yo, that is TJ McConnell before TJ McConnell with a little bit of Manu Ginobili mixed in. I'm telling you, one of my favorite Grizzlies players of all time. Come get this fucking bag work.
Come get this bag work. Okay, so here's the thing. I could go two ways on this pick because you picking all these Grizzlies makes me want to pick process Sixers, and I think the people deserve a process
Oh, I
Sixers.
had a process sixer on my board too.
And I have two. I have some hilarious honorable mentions, by the way, that we'll get to. Are we doing a lineup? Like, should I pick the big or should I pick another
I,
guard?
I wasn't planning on it, and then my team just like my team might be one
Okay.
of the greatest of all time.
Okay, if we're doing okay, then I'm picking the guard. We're going with perhaps you could argue the MVP of the process.
Tony,
Yes. We're
former
going with Tony
former
fucking Roten.
former Grizzly.
Tony Roten. Friend of the pod. Actually, not. He doesn't know us at all. Friend
He'll
of the
be on.
pod, Tony Roten. He was so fucking fun. When we were at our absolute bottom of the barrel, most depressed as Sixers fans, Tony Roten sold tickets. I mean, it was 10 tickets, but they were tickets, baby. He was so
Love that
fun to
pick.
watch, dude. Genuinely made me so happy when we were about 10 and 57. So Tony Roten is my fifth. Come
He
get
was
this
absolutely on my
bag
board.
work.
That is a great pick. That
Yeah.
is a great pick. So tell me, who else did you have on your board? I had like
Okay.
three to five more guys.
I have three more as well. So we'll start with the most random 50-point game in NBA history. Malachi Flynn.
San Diego State legend. Shout out.
Albino King, Malachi Flynn, come and get this bag work. And
I loved him.
then he on his day, yeah, San Diego State. He's an Aztec. Beck was an Aztec, so we got a little alma mater there. And then the other two, these are classics. I mean, these are just you look up, come and get this bag work in the dictionary, and they're there. We got Jordan Clarkson and Lemon Pepper Lou Will. Come and get this bag work. Lou Will, I should have said, I mean, okay, so here's my thing. I was between Lou Will and Jamal Crawford. I think Lou Will, just because he was a Sixer, it was so much more fun to watch. Even though J Cross was like obviously the craziest, deepest bag maybe in NBA history. But Lou Will in Philly and even in Atlanta, I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for him in Atlanta. He was, dude, he on his day. Let me have this dance. Lou Will, come and get this bag work.
I'm happy you went Lou Will over Jake. I feel like Jamal Crawford's too chalky. We're not a chalky
He's
pod.
way too chalky. That's really what I mean. I could have gone
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Kyrie. Like we're not doing that. We're
Oh,
not
yeah.
doing But yeah, that's those are all right. So let's read through the lineups here. Becky, you go first.
So at my one, I got Bano Udrih. Go learn about him, people. Go look up the fucking tape. 2014 to 2015 Grizzlies. This guy's a fucking legend.
Grind
That's
the
my one.
synergy.
My number two, we're going Lance. Lance make him dance. Another former Grizzly for half a season. If the people weren't aware, 32 points on the Pelicans in March with one of the worst teams of all time that the Grizzlies have ever had. I love that guy.
Lance will make him pay.
I'll go to my front court next just because I love my front court. We got the one, the only Zach Randolph Kimball. We got at the 4, Chris Humphreys. Go get that Kim K bag. Come get this bag. Works smooth like butter. And I went to my front court immediately because I kind of forgot who I took at my 3. Who the fuck did I take at my 3?
You you can play Lance at the 3.
No, but who's the other guy? I took one more guy.
You took Marshawn Brooks.
Yes, another former Grizzly. So 4 out of my 5 are former
Yeah,
Grizzlies.
shocker. All right, that's your 5.
Yes,
I got
sir.
I got Cam Thomas, Brooklyn King, Jordan Poole, pride of Draymond's fist, Terry Rozier, my goat, Keontae George, and Tony Rowe.
Love
Come
it.
and
These are
get
some good lineups, man.
absolutely.
Wait till we bless the Instagram feed with that. They're not going to know what to do with it.
And then last thing, just before we wrap up, we have the NBA draft tomorrow. We obviously made our picks. If you guys haven't seen them, go on the Instagram. We have Beck and I's top 10 on there. Um, give me just one spicy take. What's either a wild pick you didn't see coming or a draft day trade that you think could happen tomorrow? Not that
Uh,
you think it will happen.
I'm seeing a lot of chatter on Twitter about it, so I'm going to go with this before it gains even more steam. It seems like the Nets are going to trade up for Ace.
Ooh.
Yep, from 8 to 4.
To 4. So you think
Yep.
they trade with Charlotte and go and get Ace?
Yep.
You know what? I like that a ton for Charlotte because that means do you think Khan could drop to 8 to them?
Yeah, I've been going 9 in my mock.
Yeah, the thing about Khan that I think people are don't I think people see him as like a Corey Kispert like stand in the corner and shoot threes guy. Khan has like a lot of dribble creation and he's like really strong. And I
Great
think
cutter.
yeah, great off-ball player. Like I think he has a little more to his game than people maybe give him credit for. He can hold up defensively. He's not going to be a liability on that end. Yeah, I think that's a really fun one. The one I had, and this is one that I've seen from a couple different people. I saw this from Sam Vecini of The Athletic and also Jonathan Givony of ESPN and Draft Express. Your guy, actually, Jeremiah Fears to Utah at 5. I've seen two
Oh,
separate big mocks have Fears going 5. What would you think about that?
it means I don't believe in the backward king Keontae George, first of all.
I mean, why would they?
Yeah. It means that experiment's over, but I feel like that's a little rich.
That's what I to me, Fears, I see if you're gonna take a swing on like a guard, I guess that's a fun one because of the dribble creation and the shooting off the dribbles really fun. He didn't his percentage, I think it was like a 20 something percent 3-point shooter though. So I
Yeah.
guess you're just hoping the tools develop there. He's really quick. He can get to the rim like nobody's business. And his handle's nice. But 5 is high, dude.
It's too rich. Just trade down at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we're also gonna say this in like 3 years he's gonna be special, but I don't know,
I
man.
think he can't hit them all.
Yeah, but if Fears goes higher than people think, I think that's my spicy take. And then the other one is I read a report also from Jonathan Givony of ESPN that OKC wants to shop their two firsts. I think it's 15 and 24 to get up into the top 10. The thing with OKC is they literally aren't going to be able to keep making all the picks that they have. At some point, they have 15 rostered players, I'm pretty sure already. Like you're going to have to start cutting like decent basketball players. So
Yeah, that's why I like the Giannis trade too. It's time to
yeah,
consolidate.
consolidate. Yeah, and I think that's sort of what Houston's thinking about now too. Is you get to a point now with this new CBA where you can't keep 10 good basketball play like 10 really like high draft pick like pedigree basketball players. You just can't do that. So OKC moving up is an interesting one. Whether they use a player in one of those picks or whether they just package both to move up. OKC getting into the top 10 is a fun one and a scary one for the rest of the league if that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I had a ton of fun on this one. I think this was awesome.
This one was too much fun.
We a ton of good segments there. And yeah, we'll be back Saturday. We'll break down the draft. Hopefully the Sixers take the boy VJ and don't overthink it. Um, and hopefully Beck gets a good player on the Grizzlies because now you guys have a premium pick.
Yeah, we had the 16. I'm seeing too much Liam McNeely. Want to be happy with
Yeah,
that. So
Laravia clone.
yeah, we love him though. So
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back on Saturday.